Okay, the purpose here is to record this, the JavaScript editing. It's, as I said, does anyone know if the other browsers provide the same options? From what I've read so far, Chrome has the most comprehensive editing or debugging and information options, but the other browsers have some functionalities, I think not as comprehensive as these. And one of the things that Dane and a few others who are doing design development are saying is that there is a lot of focus now on JavaScript as the front end with all the libraries, instead of using the built-in. What is the equivalent of, in our application, what's the equivalent of this, what JavaScript provides? The CSHTML, which is essentially so of the MVC, it is the V of the MVC. Now that becomes somewhat limiting sometimes, and that's why we are trying to enhance with JavaScript. But one of the questions that Dean was experiencing was, do you know JavaScript? So that's one thing to keep in mind if you are wanting to continue with design development work. So that's with elements. With the console, you can literally run like from a command prompt like environment. As far as the JavaScript, I guess we are not yet logged in. I'm going to save this. You can see that once I opened up this panel, this automatically compressed. One of the reasons I mentioned in 353, what did we use for our development? When we were doing development in 353, does anyone remember what we used? Okay. And it is getting phased out in the sense that they're not going to add anything new. Now, why did they do it? Part of it was, well, there are two things. One is, what does the framework run on? When you create your program in .NET framework, what sort of operating systems did you install it on? Only Windows. It could not run on any other platform, Linux, iOS, and so on. But .NET Core runs on. What does it run on? What's it, Rob? What? Yeah, exactly. I expected the response. Where do you think I called on you? You're not paying attention. Okay, this is the very last clause, right? Okay, I'm going to deliberately ask you to come in front. Okay. Whoever is not paying attention, at least the very last clause, you have to do that. Okay. I'm tired of telling you to pay attention. That's your sole responsibility when being in class, right? Okay. Come up in front. Is anyone else sleeping behind there? If you are, I'm going to call you to come in front. Okay. There's in front. Okay. So I'm going to ask somebody else now. Okay. So let's see, Andrew. What is .NET Core different from .NET Framework? There are two things. One of the two things, you're seeing it right in front of you. What are you seeing? JavaScript, you could add it to .NET Framework as well. So what is the other thing that you are seeing on the screen right now? Okay, developer tools that's provided by Chrome. It's not part of the .NET library. So what can anyone tell me what you see on the screen that you wouldn't be able to do with what we did in 353, but is happening here? Yeah. Dave? Well, you could do that even with if the developer tool basically took up about half the screen by default, right? So if you look at what happens in what we were doing in 353, which is called, we are using .NET Framework with web forms, what would have happened is whatever it was this side, it would have just tried to compress everything. It would have rendered it very badly. Okay, so what happened here is it renders it based on the screen space that's available, and that's because MVC was designed for any type of device. .NET Framework with web forms was not. Okay, so one of the reasons why did Microsoft, after all those years, why were they willing to let it go? It's not that they just want to have it run on all kinds of operating systems. That's one thing that happens. So Android runs on different environments. Some of you prefer using a Mac, so this one will, you gradually wouldn't have to keep switching between Windows and your MacBook. The other is this, how many of you use your phone or some other smaller device for accessing web applications? Yeah, so this gives you the menu options. So if you go back to 353, take that project and run it, it won't render like this. It will just go haywire the space. So it's looking for a particular real estate. If it doesn't find it, it doesn't render well. So that's why Microsoft moved away from. And so going back to your office, if you want to interview with companies, I'm not teaching this for you to get a meaningless grade at the end of this course. Okay, so if I was doing that, I would have done this entirely differently. I wouldn't care, okay, whether you learned or not. And that's really partly my problem that I care. And one of the things, strangely, I hope that you do things with care, but you also have to understand that it's not good for your health. It's not good for your evaluations. You can do. People won't like you if you try to do the right things sometimes. Why am I struggling with all of this stuff? Some of you have not responded. I told you that Fred Rogers used to say something, which is that if somebody tells you that you're not doing something well enough, you actually want to be with somebody like that as a mentor or coach or whatever else. Once there's nobody telling you that you're not doing things well, then you have to look inside yourself, because that means, as I told you last semester, people have given up on you. Okay, and I've been tempted to give up on some of the groups. I've told you this face to face, but I don't want to do that. But again, coming back, these are some of the questions that have been asked in various interviews. I want to make sure that you are aware of it going forward at whatever point in your periods. Do you know why you had that cloud computing course created for you? Yeah, and specifically with one company. Which company was that? Leidos. How many people had Leidos hired? Indirectly, right? Not directly. So they didn't directly hire even a single one of our students and we created a course for that. Okay, so the issue is basically some of the messages that they're sending us is that maybe we are not creating or developing our students to meet their requirements. So the issues are whatever else, but that was one of the messages that they seem to employ. So anyways, coming back to, I want our students to get to the point where these kinds of issues are sort of in you to be able to respond, think. So what to think? Why is Microsoft investing so much time and effort in an entirely different platform when they seemingly had something working previously, right? So you have to think about those issues because ultimately, you ask yourself, if you're going to be a project manager leading a project, what is one of the obvious decisions you'll have to make right now? Based on our discussion, what will you have to decide on? If it's a new project, let's say the Software Association asks you to develop an application, what do you have to decide? Okay, which environment are you going to use, .NET Framework or .NET Core? And so what would you choose? .NET Core, for sure. Let me ask, where is Austin, the greenhouse opposite on, what's it called? It's a microgreenery. It's a very innovative company, but Austin, what have they asked you to use to develop? Okay, .NET Framework. You know why they asked us to use .NET Framework? Or asked you to use .NET Framework? And they have lots of legacy software. This was actually developed in the starting somewhere. The first version was developed in the 1970s for Sony and what's the one, Wendy's. I was going to say the red-headed girl. So Wendy's and Shoney's, and they've made millions of dollars. Bardner, who actually is one of the investors, I guess, in Zippies and other companies. Anyways, so the software is gradually, it's legacy software, and they want the systems that are being developed now to play with it. So the issue is .NET Framework totally phased out? What's the answer to that? So what is Microsoft stopping with the .NET Framework? One, updates. They are not going to release updates, but whatever is already there is there. Okay. So there are companies that actually want, and this has been tested, used over several years, maybe 20 years, so they want to continue using it. So the issue is it's not such an easy decision, and also if you are developing in .NET Core as of now, there's only one front end that you can have, and what's that front end? What is the front end, the UI that we are using? And it's based off a browser, it's a web application, so you cannot create a mobile app, you cannot create a Windows a program that you can install on Windows or any other client machine. So there are some limitations. You can do that with .NET Framework currently. So Microsoft is releasing, what's the current version of .NET Core? The application that this is developed in is 2.0. The current version, I believe, is 2.2. They're going to release 3.0 sometime between now and the fall, so I think it's sometime in June, July. That will have all of the Windows and mobile apps, so that's something that we'll be doing in the fall. Courses that are coming in, we'll be going to, that's something have to think about it or not. Okay, so let's see, where am I? I need to get to let's see if it now starts populating. Okay, I have my data with the 3 students. Okay, so my list should start populating now. Length 1. Where do I see the list? It should be a local variable somewhere. Okay, let me continue and see if it brings in. What's it? Okay, okay, this object. Okay, I guess Josh tried to use this to see if it's populating. As the entire purpose of what I'm trying to do now is not just to say your application is working as much as to use this troubleshooting. Those of you who are having JavaScript problem, okay, now you can start seeing that this list is getting populated. So this was something that we were not seeing previously. So you can is it getting populated? I still see it undefined. So I can see it in the post. So it's here. It's spelled incorrectly. Okay. So those are the problems here that with JavaScript it will still not pick up the IntelliSense. Anytime there is no pickup of the IntelliSense, it starts to fail. So it's still, I don't see the list showing up, but I'll move on to, so the main purpose of all this is to say, use this for troubleshooting if your JavaScript is not working. And of course the sidetrack was to think about if you are managing projects at some point in your career, you have to know something about coding and system development, and issues like what are all the environments available to you. And we have worked in a Microsoft environment. There are open source tools and so on. So these are things to keep yourself aware of. Anyways, let me go back and I'll try one last time to run this. After saying good things, I don't want to leave it in a bad way. Okay. So is this uppercase N here? Okay. This is why before you do if you're doing any kind of client demo, what's the thing you have to do? Run through your demo before it. If you have no idea where it's going to fail, so make sure that you have worked through it. So these are the coaches voting on players for regional and state teams. So like these two, and then which other school has one? You should have more players before you go for the demo. Okay, is there any other team or no? Okay. So this is being held in memory, so you have to have this cleared out, right? Or is it, you're saying that these are votes from other coaches? Okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so basically it's a flow of different components that ultimately gets added up, and whoever the players, 18 players, is it, who are selected based off of this. So anyway, so one of the things, as I said, that made this project interesting was the flow. I did want to discuss a couple of more concepts before the semester starts to end our discussions. It's not like the syllabus or it's never ending. So the issue is a couple of things I wanted to address. There is one part is the autocomplete search box that I recorded the video, but I just want to quickly bring that up so you can. Okay, the autocomplete, I set it up under the course controller, and I think there were three main components. One is this is the method that generates the JSON. Okay, so there are some conventions that this uses. Let me make sure I build this. Okay, so the conventions that are being used are the input parameter. I've experimented with different names for the input parameter, but the only name that it's willing to accept is temp. You can experiment and see if something else works, but if you're going to explore the autocomplete option, I recommend using the temp. The other is when you're creating this list, essentially this is links, which is mimicking SQL, right? So you have to have, so what are we doing here? If you are writing this in SQL, what is this select statement saying? Select these columns from the table, But in addition, there's something else. What's that something else? What do you call this in SQL? How many of you know what you would call this in SQL? What is this whenever you do this? Yeah, alias. Yeah, you're giving an alias for that column. So this is again a convention that autocomplete uses. It wants the columns to be called by specific names, label, and ID. Okay, so I want to just highlight the parts that you need to be aware of. The rest of it is very similar to what we've been discussing. Okay, then the methods, the controller methods are fairly straightforward. The get and the post methods. Okay. And here I've just set it up so that you can actually put a breakpoint and read it. Okay, so and so that's the second part, which is very simple, is the reading the two controller methods. The third part is I just set it up in a view, which is a very simple. I have the JavaScript in the same view. So the view that I've set up is this form, which calls the autocomplete post method. It has, this is the course name that gets populated as the user is typing in the name. And then this is, I've mentioned this or discussed this with some groups, but not, I don't remember if I discussed it in the class. If you don't want to show something for the user to see or to manipulate, like the course ID doesn't mean anything to the user. The course name does. So what do we want to use for our searches? It's the ID, right? Not the name. So that's why I have it as a hidden field, which gets passed, so that I can use that for my searches or any type of processing. Okay, so that's so what's the main point over here is the identifier that I want to populate is the course name. And in the JavaScript, one of the things that Dane was suggesting was previously our sources were set to, does anyone remember our script sources for the libraries? It was a URL. When we were accessing some website, right? So if you're accessing a website that's external, you have to have an internet connection, right, to draw it in. But what if there's a low internet connection, or for some reason that particular site is down? Then one of the things that is recommended is that you have it locally. And when I say locally, where do you think it is? Okay, go into www root, and anything UI related, the files are here. So anything that's a distribution is under the library, so Bootstrap is there. And then if you see under this distribution directory, you can see that I have brought in for jQuery, the jQuery distribution is jQuery.js and jQuery.ui.js, and there is a minimized version of it as well, which requires less bandwidth. It basically transfers it faster. So those are the links that I believe you can actually navigate over to it by just saying source default to, and then you can find it from within there. Where do you find these if you don't have it already on your application? I found jQuery was already there. How many of you, when you go into this, see jQuery? How many of you see jQuery-UI? You don't see it, so where do you think you need to go? There are two places to go. jQuery itself, if you don't find jQuery, it is jQuery.com. This is open source. And if you want to find jQuery UI, so over here you can download this. If you download it, it's a zip file. You can extract this particular .js file. And that's required for you to use this autocomplete functionality. That's the second point, or the third point that I wanted to make. The first point was with how I've set up the JSON. There are very specific things you need to do. The two things over there, and the third is connecting to your script. You have to connect to both jQuery and jQuery UI. And the last one is what you are referencing here. The course name is this course name here, and then the source is obviously your the JSON, the one that generates the JSON data. One of the things I found is if this particular method is in the same controller as what? As the get and post, right? So if it is, you don't want to give the controller names, the manual course / get. If you do this, it seems to have trouble finding it. So maybe you have to go all the way back to the full. So how do you specify the root? I think you could do this at Builder, but if you, but the thing is to keep in mind that if it's in the same controller, don't use the controller class name. And finally, if you want to send the the function that the action that I'm doing is selecting the whatever values in the text box. So when that event occurs, what do I want to do? I want to send the hidden course ID value. So that's what this is doing, taking the value from the hidden course ID and sending it over. Okay. So if I were to run this now, so is there any questions regarding this? There are, I think, 3 different groups that wanted to apply it. So Boston, so I think Carter, you mentioned wanting to try it out. Anyone else? So if you're, so just make sure that if there are anything that you're not clear, you have to ask me, because this is quite finicky. The autocomplete is from, it seems to be using something from a combination of these two. At least autocomplete is supposed to come from the jQuery library, but there are some functionalities I couldn't get until I added the jQuery UI. If I were to run this now, let's see if it comes up. Okay, I have only a few courses here. I have systems analysis, and if I have something with multiple courses, you have to formatted a little better. So essentially, I can go down the list as I'm typing it. So if I type in something, let's see, INTR, I dropped it, and it actually even gives you how many results are available here. Okay, so I'll just go down, select this, and if I, obviously I'm running this in debug mode, so basically it will send the value of the course ID associated with this. Okay, so this, most of the work is being done by the JavaScript libraries. What we are doing is providing it the data as well as the UI, the form objects to relate the autocomplete functionality. Anyways, so I'm hoping that at least you explore and experiment with this. I'll stop here with this. The last thing I wanted to discuss was that this particular SQL, this format was for coming up with lists. Right? I told you this is essentially SQL and LINQ. Right? It's for JSON we've been using it, but it's also very helpful for drop-down lists. So, for example, I'll go to one of the drop-down lists, like where you want to customize. So let's say I'm doing a search. Let's see, where was like course offerings controller. So in the search functionality, we search course offerings. So let's say I want to have, so in this case, it may not be so obvious, but let's say I for some reason want to combine values, instructors, and what would it, like I'll just combine it with department for now. It doesn't make that much sense, but because I'm actually selecting a department, but some of the groups that was even if you have drop downs adding the value. Okay. So one of the things we did there was to have, so instead of just getting it directly from the database, you can build it up. And so I'm going to, it's if you're combining, so this is for combining values to display in a drop-down list. And some of the group projects might benefit from this. So as I said, this is probably, I should have tried to find another example, but this, the list is coming from database instructors, okay? But instead, what I could do is build it up. So I'll say a variable instructor with department. Okay. So I have to construct it. So it's going to be a select operation. Let me show you what is the select. So we are saying from this. Okay, so if I use this format, where do I get the instructors and the department? So what should I say here? I have to pull the two tables, so from, and they have to prefix it with something. So let's say from I, because it's instructors, and it's in the database dot. It's in database dot. This is why is it okay? From, I think that's the syntax. Yeah, it's in. From in database dot instructors dot include? What do I want to include? I want to have the instructor's department. Right? Okay. So this is from the from table. And then what I'm doing is I'm selecting, you see here, I could have a where clause, I could have an order by, but I'm not doing that right now. Instead, I'm just going to have a select. So basically, I'm going to say select new, and within curly braces, what am I selecting? Well, this is just for the instructor drop down. So I'm going to have I dot instructor ID, and the other is I want to combine the instructor's name with the department name. So I'll say, so this is, I'll have to give it a name, so it will be instructor with department. And I said this is going to be the alias. Right? So this is equal to I dot, let's say instructor full name, plus, and I'll give a space, plus, or you can say instructor, you can do whatever you want to in, and I'll, let's say, I dot, department dot, department name. Okay, so this allows me to combine, but otherwise I cannot combine for drop-down lists. And if I would, so what would I change here? The select list changes from going directly to the department, the database. Instead, I am using this. And what else do I have to change? So this should change to okay. If I run this now, it's already running, but I changed some of the code, so I'll rerun this. Other than yours is group 2, right? So is there any other group that was contemplating having group 4? Okay. So this allows you, as I said, to customize it instead of just using whatever is there already in the database. Okay, so this is optionally choose department, and then there is, did I not even, I think I changed the view, I think. So in the search, I think, so I'm not seeing this, so let's say you're troubleshooting your project. Where do you need to go to see the list of instructors? Okay, in the view, for whatever reason, I think I was trying to save some time in the discussion. I hadn't put the instructor in. So if I go into the view, where do I search for the view? Course offerings, manual course offerings, of course it's just course offering. And then I have search course offerings. I think I changed to search course offerings combined. So, and I don't have the instructor ID, the instructor there. So, this is going to be instructor ID. And the view back that was there. What is the name of the view back? It's not there. Yeah, let me try to just now. Okay. So this is, so it's just giving me the, what is it, giving me just the class name of the institution. The different search offerings. Okay, search offerings combined is different from search offerings. Okay, let me go to search offerings. Okay, so this one has the department combined. Okay, so that was the last concept I wanted to discuss. I did want to briefly have, so only is there any interest in discussing unit testing or no? That's going to be something I expect you to know on the exam. There are a couple of other points that I want to make. I did set up, for your class projects, your submission is due tomorrow, the individual project. It's due by noon tomorrow. It has to be a zip file, and you will be allowed to upload it only if it meets what requirement. Carter, what's the size? 20 megabytes. Okay, so Carter and a couple of others, for you were close to 20, right? So what Carter gave you the solution? What was the solution? What was the problem or the solution? If you went inside, you have to go into. I don't have that, so if you go into your solution, you would find, was it bin? So it should be operating only in debug mode. If you had accidentally chosen, so there are debug release, right? So if you choose the release mode and you run it, it's going to create a much larger directory. So what Carter did was he deleted that. So if by chance you have not only debug but also release, then you have to delete that. And I think you said you have to do it in 2 different places. So essentially it was in bin as well as in OBJ. So those are the 2 places, because if you don't have it less than 20 MB, you cannot submit it. It won't accept. So, and you have to submit it, well, for getting credit on your individual project. And since some groups, like Jacob, where you were saying that you were having trouble with merging some branches, you're fine now? Okay. So is there any group that is still having, what I'm afraid of is on Mondays when I sync on my machine, that whatever I'm pulling is not the latest version. So just to back up, I wanted to have you submit it on eCampus as well, whatever your latest version was, so that I know for sure that the several months of work that some of you have done and the few hours of work that others of you have done on a group project, right? That's a vast variance. Okay, so especially if you have spent a huge amount of time, I want to make sure I look at all of what you have done. So I'm going to have you submit this online as well, the zip file, by noon on Monday. Okay. Yeah. Well, before I forget, the final exam, I'm going to have you do. I've been going through in my mind. I think I'm going to have you do it as you have to be prepared to create an entire new project. It's rather than just work on scheduling. So you need to be able to create a new project, a web application, a test project. Okay, because what do you think? Yesterday, I was looking at some of your projects, and if you actually some groups that have not fully done that well, I want to know that you can do it. Okay, so you have to be prepared to create entire new projects, and I will give the naming convention here so that you cannot pre-create it. I want you to know how to create it. So you have to practice it. We have been using .NET 4 2.0, so practice with that, creating the new MVC, creating a test project. Okay, and then if I give you an entirely new project, I'll give you a new set of requirements. I'll try to keep it concise, but that's part of what I expect you to do. It's not just coding; it's entire systems design development. Okay, so whatever we have done through 450 to 452, that's what I wanted to make you aware that you need to be able to do that. And finally, some groups that I am meeting with the 450 groups until 2:30 today, but there are some groups that I see nobody from group 1, so I won't even have to mention that. So group 2 is fine. I'm not going to meet with you. You can choose whatever you want to continue doing. The group 3, today is the last day I'm meeting, and I have a meeting with 450 until 2:30, so it's 2:30 to around 5 or 5:30 is when I'm available. So if you want to meet, you have to, group 4 is fine, group 5 is fine, group 6 is fine, group 7 is fine, group 8, have you resolved? Okay, so you're fine. They don't need to meet with me. Okay, group 9, are you fine? Yes, no? Austin, you're fine, right? Okay, group 10, I think you're fine. Group 11, I never know about the status of what's happening. Okay. Before 4, you'll have to meet with me to come up with a specific time. Group 12, I don't know if you've started the MVC. You have? You. Okay, so the thing is, do you want to meet today or you're fine? Okay, then just come meet me for some specific, I'll have to come up with a specific time, group 14. Okay, so So group 14, 12, 11, and which is the other group, group 3. So if the 4 of you can come up, I will talk to you. For the rest of you, please come by around 7:45, 7:50 on Tuesday. So that will be the last time you encounter me. So anyway, so that's about it. You have to come. That's